Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Provident Vox and our exploration into the mysteries that veil life, death, and the realms beyond. I'm Baron Aragni.
And I'm Baronessa Aragni.
Today we stepped into a subject that was requested in the comments, a subject close to our own work and reputation, the spirit world. Before we delve into our own insights, let us travel back to one of the earliest civilizations, to the plains of Mesopotamia, where the Sumerians and Babylonians conceived of the afterlife in terms that still haunts us today.
Indeed, the ancient Sumerians held a view of the spirit world that was neither gentle nor forgiving. Their afterlife was called Kur, or the land of no return. It was imagined as a shadowy underworld beneath the mountains, ruled over by the dread god Nergal. The spirits of the dead, called Gidim, were believed to dwell in this place, subsisting on dust and muddy water. Unlike later paradisical concepts, there was no reward for virtue nor punishment for sin, only the universal fate of shadows.
And yet, even with this stark view, they saw the presence of power. The Babylonians, inheriting much of its cosmology, emphasized rituals to appease the dead. Families would offer food and drink at monthly festivals, believing that without such offerings, the Gedim might grow restless, returning to trouble the living. In their eyes, the spirit world was not separated entirely from the physical one. It overlapped, influencing the affairs of men through dreams, hauntings, and omens.
What is crucial here is that the ancient Mesopotamians established a precedent. The dead are not gone. They remain present, needing sustenance, acknowledgement, and occasionally pacification. This belief in the permeability of worlds is something that runs like a thread through necromantic traditions across history. And as many of you know, we ourselves are renowned for our necromantic practices and published works on the subject matter. We have written much on the subject of the dead and the realms of the dead, but today, because of your request, we will focus instead on the spirit world itself.
When the host body dies, the soul stands at a threshold. At that moment, it can choose either to move on from the physical world or to remain bound to it. Countless accounts of the dying speak of seeing loved ones or shadowy presences gathered near them. What they are witnessing are the spirits already inhabiting the liminal world, some familiar, others entirely unknown.
Those who choose to remain in the physical world do so for one of two reasons. The first is unresolved purpose, perhaps a grudge to settle, an injustice to avenge, or simply an unfinished work. The second reason is more subtle. They remain because they desire to, exercising the same will in death as in life. These spirits cling to the physical plane, intermingling with the living, manifesting as apparitions, whispers, or disturbances.
But when a disembodied soul decides to move on, it finds itself within what can only be described as a vast spiritual biome. Imagine a landscape not built of matter, but of essence, a world where countless spirits gather. Some await loved ones, others socialize as if continuing the lives they once had, while some lurk with darker intent.
What is most fascinating is that each spirit within this realm has the power to fashion a sub-biome, an environment shaped by their thoughts, desires, and memories. One may create a verdant garden, another a palace of obsidian stone, another a dark cavern echoing with their regrets. These sub-biomes are private domains, yet they ripple outward, influencing the greater spiritual ecosystem. We have explored these in depth in our writings, but for now, imagine a patchwork of dreamscapes stitched together into one living, shifting world.
Now it must be said, not all spirits abide in the same realm. The demonic variant of spirit inhabits a separate biome entirely, as can be said for other spirit variants. This is a domain of their own making, and only those of similar nature may enter therein. Yet, these beings are not confined. They are capable of traversing boundaries, stepping into the common biome, and even crossing into the living world.
The manner of crossing is worth noting. There are portals, which are opened by the living through specific incantations, ritual acts, and sacrifices. And then there are tears, rents in the veil, forced open not by the living or by humans, but by the spirits themselves. Through tears, a demonic entity can intrude unbidden into places where the barrier is weak or where intense emotion has frayed the fabric between worlds.
Yet, not all who traverse the spirit world do so alone. There exist psychopoms, beings whose purpose is to guide souls across thresholds. Sometimes they are experienced as radiant figures of light, at other times as dark-robed beings, or even as animal forms, dogs, owls, serpents. Their role is to usher the soul into the greater world beyond, to prevent it from becoming lost or ensnared in lesser currents.
And these guides may serve not only as escorts, but as teachers. For if a soul wishes to continue its ascent or descent, even beyond death, it may seek a teaching spirit. This could be an ascended master who has walked the path before, a psychopomp who knows the hidden roads, or even a demon offering the gnosis of power. Death does not halt growth. It changes the field in which growth occurs. The soul, released from the body, can still strive to empower itself, to deepen its knowledge, to reshape its essence.
Thus the spirit world is not a static realm, but a living continuum. It is peopled by the shades of the dead, the domains they create, the demons who cross its borders, and the guides who lead souls through its endless expanses. It is, in truth, more alive than the physical world, for it is shaped not by stone and soil, but by thought, will, and the raw essence of spirit. And so, when you hear us speak of necromancy, of the dead, or of our explorations into these hidden biomes, remember, we are not speaking of fantasy. We are describing the landscapes of an invisible realm as real as your own, populated by those who were, those who are, and those who choose to remain. But there is something rarely considered. Animals too have their own spiritual biomes. The dogs, the cats, the birds, even the serpents and insects, all carry their own domains within the spirit world. These realms are not mere imitations of human ones. They are primal sanctuaries, often older and purer than anything humanity has yet conceived.
Yes, and these animal biomes have existed for a very, very long time, long before humans had even drawn the first clay tablet or spoken the first words of prayer. When we have ventured into them personally, we have found vast meadows tended by the spirits of deer, twilight forests alive with the whisper of foxes, seas where the whales still sing their eternal hymns. To walk among these domains is to witness an ancient continuity, one that reminds us that the spirit world is not solely human property. Every living thing that breathes and dies carves its place therein.
The spirit world is truly vast, and we cannot stress this enough. It defies the neat lines of time and space as we know them. The laws of physics, the boundaries that tether us here, are discarded like a soiled rag. There, the very foundations of your certainty will be shattered. Everything you think you know, your science, your reason, your measurements, are but mere wisps of shadows compared to the raw, shifting truth of that realm. And let us be clear, not even we, being master occultists, who have walked countless paths and seen wonders unspoken, can profess that we know everything within the spirit world. We have learned much, yes, but the infinite stretches before us. Always keep that in mind.
Speaking of spirits, allow us to share something most intriguing. Did you know that our Atris Lexicon is nothing less than the language of the dead? It is a tongue woven from silence and shadow, a serpent-like current that slips through the veils themselves. With this language, one can communicate seamlessly with the dead, whether they be liminal shades, benevolent guardians, demonic intelligences, or even deities enthroned in their eternal dominions.
The Atris Lexicon does not plead, it compels. It does not whisper, it resounds. Its words cut straight through the veil, bypassing barriers and resistances. When spoken, everything that you intend to hear you cannot refuse its allure. Even the most defiant of spirits, those who lurk in the darkness, coiled and venomous, find themselves drawn to its cadence. It is a language of serpentine seduction, of irresistible command.
And we can speak with authority here, because we have worked with thousands of spirits. We have stood in communion with creeping shadows that abide within the boundary of our own property, watching, waiting, pressing against the edges of our wards. We have released forgotten shades, bound by rusted chains of time, freeing them from the corners of houses where they lingered unloved and unnamed.
We have walked in the liminal realms themselves, those in between spaces where the physical dissolves and the other side begins. In those places the air itself hums with consciousness. There we have shared paths with the wandering dead, trading knowledge, guiding, or sometimes merely bearing witness.
And yes, we have dined with demons, at altars of woe, upon banquet tables draped in blood-red visions. We have sat across from entities who wear crowns of fire and wield voices like thunder. Their presence is not metaphorical. Their gaze is not symbolic. To sit with them is to feel your essence weighed, measured, and reshaped.
We have conversed with ascended masters, those who long ago shed the fetters of flesh, yet lingers to teach those willing to listen. We have spoken with dark gods, rulers of the realms that stretch beneath the roots of creation itself, their words dripping with truths too heavy for the unprepared to carry. And we have known benevolent gods, radiant beings of compassion and guidance, whose light pierces even the thickest gloom.
We have traversed the realms of the dead themselves, from the quiet gardens where the gentle departed await reunion, to the howling wastes where tormented spirits writhe, bound by their own unresolved fury. Each place is a lesson, each spirit a mirror, and through it all the spirit world reminds us, death is not the end, but a transformation.
Now moving on, let us address a common misunderstanding. Many people think that necromancy is simply divining through the dead, that their art begins and ends with summoning a spirit to tell you your fortune. Of course, that may form part of it, but that is by far not the totality of the practice. Necromancy is not limited to extracting answers from shades. It is far broader, deeper, and far more dangerous. It would be more accurate to say that necromancy is working with the dead.
Exactly so. To work with the dead is to engage them in their fullness, as guides, as allies, sometimes even as adversaries. It means tending to their presence, understanding their biomes, walking in their domains, negotiating, binding, releasing. Divination is one small expression of this larger art, and to reduce necromancy to fortune-telling is to strip it of its essence.
Speaking of divining through the dead, let us be very clear. Although it can indeed be done, it is a mistake to think that you can simply reach out to any spirit for the purpose of prophecy. Spirits are not all-knowing. As we have said numerous times before, as they are living, so will they be dead. Death does not make one suddenly omniscient. The butcher remains a butcher, the merchant remains a merchant, and the fearful remains fearful.
Just because a soul has crossed beyond the veil does not mean they are now capable of flawlessly seeing the past, the present, and all the possible futures of a situation. Some may perceive fragments, others may perceive nothing beyond their own memories and experiences. Only certain spirits are capable of this work, and they are not always easy to find. To divine through the dead requires discernment, training, and above all, respect for the limitations of the spirits themselves.
And as a matter of fact, we should clear up yet another misconception. Many people like to think that once a person dies, their spirit suddenly becomes powerful, wise, and capable beyond measure. No, that is not how it works. Death does not bestow divinity. It is transition, not a coronation.
Exactly. The farmer who was ignorant in life will not suddenly become a sage in death. The cruel man does not become compassionate simply because the breath has left his lungs. And yet, how often do we see the dead deified? People remember only fragments, polish away the flaws, and in their longing they elevate the departed into something they never truly were.
This is a dangerous illusion. To forget who they truly were is to forget the truth of the soul. Spirits carry forward their essence, their habits, their loves, their fears, their flaws, just as much as their strengths. To engage them properly, one must approach them with clear sight, not with wishful thinking. Necromancy is, at its heart, an art of honesty, seeing the dead as they are, not as you wish them to be.
And there is still another belief that often clouds people's understanding of the spirit world. Many cling to the idea that according to their acts and behaviors in life, they will inevitably end up in some established place, a heaven, a hell, or whatever their tradition prescribes.
Technically speaking, there is no canonical heaven nor hell. These are constructs, stories repeated so often that they become powerful thought forms. We have discussed this in greater depth in some of our published works, but the essence is simple. If a person believes they are destined for heaven, then at death they will create a heaven for themselves. And if they fear hell, then they will likewise create a hell.
It's not only heaven and hell, of course. Some, rooted in the old Norse ways, may shape for themselves an Asgard or a Valhalla. Others may step into paradises patterned after earthly religions, or dark realms of punishment born from guilt and fear. The afterlife they enter is not dictated by some universal law, but by the force of belief and the creative essence of the soul itself.
This is why the spirit world is so vast, and why it contains so many biomes and subbiomes. Each soul contributes to its landscape. It is a mosaic of belief, imagination, and willpower woven together. One spirit may find bliss, another torment, yet both have entered worlds of their own creation.
And along with these beliefs in heaven and hell comes another misconception, that when you die, there are judges waiting to determine your fate, that somewhere at the gates of eternity a tribunal sits, ready to weigh your heart, measure your deeds, and pass sentence upon your soul.
But this is not so. There are no canonical judges, no weighing of the heart, no cosmic courtroom where you stand trial. Those images, whether of Anubis with his scales or angels with their books of judgment, exist because they are archetypal, or because they have become living thought forms over centuries of belief. They are symbolic guardians of morality, not universal truth.
This is why, when you die, you will not be greeted by Anubis, nor by St. Peter at the pearly gates, nor by any tribunal of gods to determine where you need to go. Unless, of course, you believe so fervently in such a system that your spirit creates that very experience for itself. But in truth, no external judge waits to assign you to heaven or hell. The spirit world is shaped by will, by belief, and by essence, not by imposed dogma.
Moving back into the subject of the various spiritual biomes, one question often arises. Can you, as a living individual, visit these realms? The answer is yes, but with limitations.
The first requirement is skill in mental projection. Without the perfected ability to project your consciousness beyond the body, you will never step into those places, no matter how much you desire it. Second, you need sufficient spiritual power to sustain yourself while crossing boundaries, and to enter those biomes or realms. Without that force, you will be repelled, or worse.
And even if you meet those requirements, you'll not be able to fully experience the realms because you are not dead. And because these domains are not your realms or biomes. You are a visitor, permitted to glimpse but not to dwell. The depth, the total immersion, these remain beyond reach until death itself severs the veil.
And it is worth noting that even the dead are not free to wander wherever they please. Not every spirit can simply move about between biomes and realms at will. Some are confined by their own essence, others by the nature of the biome itself. Just as in life there are locked doors and forbidden places, so too in the spirit world. Only certain spirits, certain guides or beings of sufficient stature can traverse the full spectrum of those realities.
And even if you are capable of visiting certain biomes and realms, you must remember one thing above all else. You are a mere visitor there. These places are not yours. They are not designed for the living, nor are they yours to claim.
And as a visitor, you will not always be welcomed where you tread. Some spirits may tolerate you, others may ignore you, and others may view your presence as an intrusion, even an offense. There are regions where inhabitants are hostile by nature, and others where your very essence as a living being clashes with the fabric of that domain.
To step into another's biome is to enter their house, their sanctuary, their creation. Approach with reverence, or risk being cast out, or worse, ensnared by those who resent your intrusion. Always keep in mind that what you experience there is not owed to you, and that your survival in such places depends as much upon respect as it does upon skill and power. So listeners, we have wandered far tonight, through the shadowed halls of Sumer and Babylon, through the vast biomes of the spirit world, through illusions of heaven and hell, the truth of necromancy, and the limitations that even death does not erase. And yet, all we have shared is but a fraction of what lies beyond the veil.
The spirit world is infinite, layered, and ceaselessly shifting. To walk in it, whether as a soul departed or as a living visitor, is to realize how little of existence we truly grasp. Even we, who have communed with thousands of spirits, who have walked with demons, masters, gods, and forgotten shades, we do not claim to know it all. We claim only to have seen and to bring those visions back to you.
Remember always, the dead are not suddenly made divine, nor are they judges waiting to weigh your soul. The afterlife you step into will be shaped by belief, by essence, by will. And if you seek to visit these realms while living, know your limits, know your place, and above all, know that you are only ever a guest.
If there is enough interest in the subject, we will gladly return to it, expanding upon the nature of the dead, their realms, and the countless mysteries we have encountered. After all, this is not one conversation, but an endless one. Death is not the end, and neither is our exploration of it.
Until then, walk with awareness, honor the unseen, and remember that the world of spirits is closer than your breath. We thank you for joining us.
If you enjoyed this episode and you have not subscribed to this podcast yet, please subscribe, like, drop us a comment, let us know what you think and what you want to hear next from us. You can find us on Spreaker, Spotify, Audible, and any other platforms where you can generally find podcasts, including YouTube. And always remember, as above, so below.
As within, so without.